Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the RPG Book Report with me, your host, Logician Tim. That's right. Tonight we will continue on our quest learning more about the Pendragon RPG, and specifically, we are going to be learning on how to create your character. And in the book, there are 6 steps to creating your knight in the Pendragon RPG, and we're going to go through all of them. But before we begin, I just want to ask that if you like this type of content, please like the video and subscribe. It's totally free. If you would like to support the stream, I do have a Patreon that's listed in the description below, or you can just buy me a cup of coffee instead. The link is in the description down there. Just look for the link that says KO-FI. They pronounce it coffee. It's just like a one-time thing. There's no sign up. There's no recurring charges, anything like that. Just buy me a cup of coffee and you support the channel. Easy as that. Now let's get on to the character creation in Pendragon. And we are going to, we're going to open up the book here. Like I have to use a bookmark. I like it when they have the little like ribbons that go through the books. Anybody else like those? Some have them, some don't. I really do enjoy it when they have it because I don't have to like bookmark it with, business cards or something else. But now the character sheets are available free to download as a PDF as well. I have put a link to them in the description below if you want. You can download a copy and kind of follow along with me as we go. I find it's kind of helpful to at least just, kind of be looking at the character sheet while I'm reading. It kind of helps me get a feel of where things are located on the sheet and kind of what they mean. So it kind of brings everything back to life. Now, the authors do suggest going ahead and creating 2 characters at the start. This way, if one dies or becomes incapacitated, something like that, then you will have a backup ready to go. And they suggest making that second character someone from your family. It's like, a younger brother or something like that that kind of comes in and just rides in at the last moment after the dust clears and finds you laying on the ground dead or incapacitated, something like that, and they just kind of pick up your quest and goes on from there. So you'll have that backup character ready to go. Now, like I said before, there are 6 steps to creating a character in Pendragon. Now, the first one is determine the personal data. I'll get it out. Determine personal data, allocate personality traits and passions, allocate your primary and derived attributes, determine starting skills and combat skills. You'll determine previous experience, if any, and then you'll determine other data. So that's your 6 steps that we're going to be going through tonight. And the first one is going to be determining your personal data. All right. And so we're going to look over here. Yeah, we're on the right page here. Page 33 and 34 is where this starts. The first step they do tell us is to determine your personal data. You're going to decide your name. Right? So your name, your homeland, your culture, your age, date of birth, so forth. And they give some sample names in the book here for you, like it's kind of from the era to help you out, which is kind of nice. I always find it easier to name my character last, like after I've created them and I've gone through all the steps, because going through all those steps kind of fleshes out the character a little bit more to me. And I kind of get to know them a little bit better before picking a name. It's almost like, if you have a dog or a cat and, you don't name them before you see them generally. I guess you do sometimes with kids. I guess that's weird. But like with a dog or something like that, I want to kind of see the dog and see what kind of name speaks to me from that dog or whatever. And the same with my characters. And it might just be me though. They do warn us though about names, not to pick any silly names and to take this part as seriously as you would any other part of character creation. So yeah, like leave the crazy names at home. Pick one of the cool ones. Now your homeland in your personal data is going to be all the initial characters, all starting characters are going to be from Salisbury, and they're raised in a chimeric culture, and they're either going to be Christian or pagan. Okay, your homeland. Like I said, it's going to be from Salisbury, so you just fill it in there. Let me flip over to the character sheet so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. So we're kind of starting up here in this area. You got your name, your age, which we're going to be talking about a little bit, but right now we're on our homeland, which is going to be Salisbury. Our father's name is, we'll choose one from the list, or we can make one up. What do you want to call your dad? Titles, we're going to have, some characters will often have like titles. They tell us some sort of descriptive title along with your given name. They say something like, the Strong. So it'd be like Tim the Strong, or Tim the Forgiving, something like that. Or it could be like your place of origin. So it might be Tim of Salisbury, right? Those are all appropriate. They do tell us that the types of titles will often be earned kind of during your gameplay as your character kind of develops their own kind of characteristics and their own kind of style of play. And they recommend actually leaving your title possibly blank for now and just kind of keep that in mind while you're playing. Now, later on, they do kind of talk about having your manor as your title as well. So you might be, Tim of blank manor, right? And leaving that for now until something kind of is earned in the game. Now, your father's class, everyone is going to start out as the son of a vassal knight. So just put down father's class as a vassal knight here. Your son number, you're going to be the oldest son in your family. So you're going to put a 1 right there. So you can see your son number right there because you are the eldest son. Now, under a liege lord, remember a liege lord is when you swear an oath to multiple lords and you kind of pick a primary lord that's going to trump all the other one's decisions, right? And you kind of let everybody know, hey, my liege lord is whoever, right? You let them know. Since your character is only going to start off with one lord, who is Sir Roderick, the Earl of Salisbury, you can leave this blank for now. Your current class right here, you're going to start off as a squire on the verge of knighthood. So you put down squire here, but you will very quickly become a vassal knight. Okay. So your current home, this is kind of the manor, like your manor where you live. But, it's probably passed down from your father, who's recently died. They do provide like a randomized chart here for you. Let me flip back so you can see. They do provide a little bit of a randomized chart here where you roll a 1d20 and you can say, Newton might be my manor's name. So I might be Tim of Newton. So it would be my manor. And I would put that under my current home there. Now, the age and year you're born, that's pretty easy. You're just going to kind of leave that blank for now. Toward the end of your character creation, you're going to be somewhere between 21 and 26 years old. Most campaigns are going to start in 485 AD. So you're just going to subtract your age from 45, and that'll be the year that you're born. Easy to fill out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the for kind of like the personal data stuff. Let me flip back to the book here. The second step is going to be allocating your personality traits and your passions. Okay, so traits and passions will really bring to life your character, kind of like their inner self, right? Their personality traits, their passions, what drives them, right? It's going to help you play your character in a very consistent way. Now, they do tell us that a value of 16 or more on in any particular trait or passion is going to mean that your character is borderline like extreme in that area. Okay. So this type of behavior is going to be very obvious to everyone and really should impact your role playing, to a large extent. So new characters are only going to have one value, one stat that will start at a 16 in a trait of your choice. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So, and you don't actually have to pick one that's like a 16 or higher, but you do get the option to. And it kind of sounds like it'd be a little bit fun as well. Now let's start off with traits. So personality traits in Pendragon are made up of these 13 kind of opposed pairs of virtues and vices. And where can we find them here? Here we go. Personality traits are right here. Let's pull up the right page, Tim. There we go. Personality traits are right here. And you can see like this is the virtue side right here. And this is the vice side. Now, of course, some of these will change. Like some vices may be considered a virtue if you're a pagan, or vice versa if you're a Christian. Okay, just kind of keep that in mind. So to figure out your starting traits here, what they're going to be, you're going to follow 3 steps. Okay. First off, you're going to note your religious background. Are you Roman Christian? Are you a British Christian? Or are you pagan? And they kind of give us a little bit of guideline down here. If you're a Roman Christian, you're going to be chaste, forgiving, merciful, modest, temperate. British Christian, kind of similar. You're going to be chaste, energetic, generous, modest, temperate. Pagan, you're going to be generous, energetic, honest, lustful, or proud, and proud. Now, what you're going to do is pick one of these 3, if you're going to be Roman Christian, British Christian, or pagan, and you're going to underline these 5 traits here that they give us right here on your sheet. Okay, so if chaste is one of them, you're going to underline chaste, right? If forgiving is one of them, you're going to underline forgiving, and just underline all of these so that you can quickly see them. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is assign values to these traits. Valorous trait down here at the bottom, you're going to start with 15 because you have this martial training that you've already kind of gone through as part of being a squire. The religious traits that we just underlined, we're going to all put 13 next to those. We're going to fill in 13 underneath all 5 of those. Everything else we're going to put at 10. That's easy enough, right? Now, like I said before, every virtue does have a vice, and you want the total of these two sides to be 20, okay? So if you have a 13 in, where's forgiving? If you have a 13 in forgiving, then we know that vengeful is going to be a 7, right? Because it has to add up to 20. All right, easy stuff. So just kind of go through and fill all those out quickly. Next, we're going to assign our famous trait, all right? Where's that on the, I think it's actually on the next page, the famous trait, isn't it? Let me find that. Where is it? I found it earlier. Now I'm lost again. Directed trait, maybe? I can't find it. All right, well, we'll come back to that. So next thing you're gonna do though is assign this famous trait. This is the one that we talked about earlier. I'll figure out where to put it in just a minute. And this is the one that's gonna be at a value 16 or greater. And so this can either be a virtue or a vice, so whichever you want, all right? It is optional, like I said, and just kind of remember when you pick one, it's gonna be very obvious to everyone that you're kind of borderline crazy when it comes to this. You know, it's gonna play a big part in your role playing, all right? So, and remember to make the other side a 4. So if you're extremely honest, you would put a 16 here, and under deceitful, you would have a 4, okay? Easy as that. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're picking, I mean. Decided traits, you're going to leave these blank. They call them directed here, but in the book they call them decided. But your directed traits down here, you're going to leave these blank for now, as they're going to be filled out more like when you're playing. Okay. Now, passions. These are kind of like the strong, like emotional and psychological leanings of your character. Okay. So these are love, hate, loyalty, envy, honor, and those type of things. Now, beginning players are going to start off with 5 passions. You're going to be loyalty, which is to your Lord, love of your family, hospitality, which we kind of talked about in the last stream, honor, and hate. And it's particularly hate of the Saxons. Okay. All of these are going to start off at 15, except for hate. You're actually going to roll a 3d6 to decide how much hate you have for the Saxons. Okay. So that's easy to figure out. And you can tell, like right here in the brackets, they have like 15 for each of these. And then you'll write hate down here, and you're going to roll your 3d6 dice, and that's going to decide how much hate you have for the Saxons. All right. Now we're going to talk about the next step. So we've done your personal data, and then we've done your traits and your passions. The third step in character creation is allocating your primary and your derived attributes. Okay, so that's this kind of section up here, and that's what we're going to be working on now. So there are 5 primary attributes. You have size, which is, you know, how big you are. It's also going to calculate how much damage that you do and how much damage that you can take as well. Your dexterity, which is like your quickness, your agility, you know, coordination, balance, those type of things. Your strength, which is how much you can lift and carry. It also influences combat and movement rate as well. Your constitution, which is like your health, and then your appearance, which is kind of like how handsome or ugly you are. Okay. And so those are right here. Those are your 5 main attributes right there. And so they're going to give us 60 points to start off to spread amongst these 5 attributes. And there's a chart down here that they give us that kind of shows the minimum and maximum that each one can be. So be sure to follow that. Your constitution, just kind of keep in mind, your constitution will be increased by 3 because of your cultural modifier and just a couple more steps. So keep that in mind. I think there's a maximum on your constitution at 21. So don't let those points go to waste if you're, because remember you get 3 more. So, and I think all of them max out at 18 except for Constitution is what it is. Constitution maxes out at 21. So they did give us some tips and tricks in here as far as like making your character, your first character, they tell us should have a strength and a size that would have a combined total of at least 21 so that you can have some decent damage output, not input, but you'll have decent damage output. And we're going to be going over that a little bit later on, but just read the book on these sections, guys. Don't skip it. Don't just follow this video and do it. Go ahead and take the time and read this chapter when you're filling it out, because they do have some nice tips and tricks for you. So yeah, you're going to spread your 60 points out between these 5 attributes. And then, like I said, you're going to have some cultural modifiers as well. Because you're Kimric, you're going to add an additional +3 to your Constitution. So you'll add that to your character sheet right there. So that's kind of your basic attributes. Now we're going to do what's called your derived attributes. So this is where we're going to do a little bit of math. Okay, it's not real bad at all. And this is going to give you what's called your derived attributes. And just kind of keep in mind here that when you're doing these formulas, that anything at point, like any fractions, like at 0.5 or above, is going to round up. Everything less than a 0.5 is going to round down to the nearest number. Okay. So damage, how you calculate damage, and it's right here on the sheet for you. Really easy. I like that they put everything right there in front of me, so I don't have to keep looking up the book. What was that? Your damage is your size plus your strength divided by 6 is going to equal the number of D6 dice that you're going to roll for your damage. Now, hopefully you're at 21 or higher, like the book suggested, those 2 numbers, and so you'll roll 4 dice. Okay. Your healing rate is your strength plus your Constitution divided by 10. Your movement rate is strength plus dexterity divided by 10. Your total hit points is your Constitution plus your size. Unconscious is your total hit points divided by 4. That's like when you get knocked out, basically. So easy stuff. And like I said, that it's right here on the character sheet. And as you're filling it out, it's going to be very, very easy for you to do. After this, they kind of talk about your distinctive features right here. And this is going to derive from your appearance value. Now in the book, they do have kind of like a little chart here for us. Basically what it does is you have I'll get it out. They have a chart that you'll roll a D6 on to kind of figure out which feature detail that you're going to get from your appearance. And it also shows you like how many features that you're able to get depending on your appearance value. So if you have, if you're right in the middle between 10 and 12, you're only going to get 1 feature that you're going to pick out. If you have less or more than that, you're going, further ends of the spectrum, like closer to really ugly or closer to like crazy handsome, then you're going to get more features to pick out from here. And like I said, this chart here, you can roll on it like with a D6, or you can pick it out. I think it'd be a lot more fun to roll on it myself. But things like your hair, you might have very long curly hair or red hair or a crew cut or blonde, but it stands out, right? It might be bald, something like that. Maybe you have a speech impediment, or you speak very, very clearly, unlike me, then that could be one of these feature details as well. So they have 6 of them here for you to choose from. They can be positive or negative, kind of depending on how good looking or bad looking your character is, or if you just want to kind of mix things up. And you might have a very good looking character with a bad lisp. It might be fun to play, right? So there you go. So that's kind of stuff is in there. Fun additions to your character. So that is your distinctive feature. All right. So you'll add that in there. Now, the 4th step is determining your starting skills and your combat skills. So that's this section right here. Let me scroll down some. It's your skills section. And so the beginning values right here are already listed for us on our character sheet. So awareness will be 5, boating is 1, compose is 1, and so on. They have them in parentheses right there for us. And so it's really nice that they have that already filled out for us. And combat skills is the same as well. You can see that they're already in there because everybody's going to start out the same, being a knight. So I really like that. Now, after this, you get to personalize some of your skills here. And there are some limitations listed in the chapter that you need to keep in mind, but I'm not going to be covering those limitations here because they're kind of confusing if you're not reading the book. So I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but just know that there are some limitations, and be sure to read this part of it when you're making your character. Now, so personalizing your skills are going to give you basically 4 extra things to kind of personalize your skills more. First off, they're going to give you a nightly skill that you can choose that you're best at. All right. So look at our combat skills over here. And a lot of people, they say, well, choose sword. And what you're going to do is make this, instead of 10, you're going to make it 15. And now if you want a lance, you could do a lance instead, or a spear, or something like that. But you're going to make it a 15. All right. Secondly, what they're going to do is you're going to allow you to choose any 3 non-combat skills other than first aid, and you're going to make them 10. So you're going to look through here at your skills, and you're going to make 3 of those 10 that are non-combat. Then next, what they're going to do is heighten any 4 unique stats. This means your attribute scores, traits, passions, or skills. You can kind of increase these by a little bit. So you'll be able, and you, like I said, you get to pick 4 of them. So if you pick a skill, you get to move those up by 5 points. Your attribute, trait, or passion, you'll be able to increase by 1 point. Like I said, you get a mixture of 4 of those. You can have all 4 skills or all 4 attributes, whatever, something like that. Just follow those guidelines that we talked about that are in the book. So, so you're going to have that. You're going to heighten up those four unique stats. Then you're going to be able to add, they tell us, add 10 more points divided among any combination of combat or non-combat skills that you choose. You'll have 10 extra points. You can throw 1 here, throw 1 there, throw a couple in here, whatever you want to. And that's just going to help you customize that character and make it more unique to you instead of this kind of cookie cutter. Everybody starts off with all the exact same skills and stats. You're going to all be a little bit differently. So I like that. So the next step in character creation is determining previous experience, if any. All right. And so this is basically where it allows you to age your character some before you begin the campaign, if you want to. The maximum age it says that you can do like this is 26 years old. Just know that you'll be able to raise your skills, your traits, and your attributes a little bit for each year that you age your character. I'm going to go under the assumption that we're all going to start fresh with our 21-year-old squire, soon to be knight. But just know that that's in here if you and the GM decide that you want to age your characters a little bit before you begin. So that's about it for this, for most of this front page. At this point, you should have everything filled out on this first page except for the equipment that you're carrying. Your squire shouldn't be listed yet. Your joust score, your glory shouldn't be on there yet. And your horses. But everything else should be filled out on this top sheet for you. All right. So you're getting it done. It's getting done, you guys. So just keep going. Just keep plugging away. The last step in creating your character is basically everything else that we just talked about. Now, in your glory up here, you're going to, it tells us that you're going to determine that by rolling 6d6. You're going to roll 6 6-sided dice. Then you're going to add 150 to that. Okay. And then when you're knighted officially, because remember, you're just a squire, when you're knighted officially, you're going to get an additional 1,000 glory as well. And you're going to put that right here where it says this game. All right. This game is kind of like how much you've earned this session or right now. You have to go through what's called a winter phase, which we'll go over later on for glory to actually be applied to you. And like I said, we'll go over that further on in another stream. But once you go through that winter phase, then you'll add up and add to the total that you had maybe from before, or if you're just starting out, then you'll move that over to there. There you go. So that's how glory is done. Now, coat of arms, I want to just show you guys this. The book, like up here in the top right-hand corner, you see this kind of shield-looking area right here. That is going to be where your coat of arms is going to go. And the book does a really good job here giving instructions on how you're going to make your very own coat of arms. And I think this is a really nice touch. Now, I suck at drawing, but they make it where you can just trace like right out of the book. And I think I could even do that. And they have step-by-step, like you're going to do this, you're going to do this. Here's the way they need to be colored with some colored pencils or crayons or markers or something like that. They give you guidelines for every step of the way. And I just think that's really cool that you would have your own shield, own coat of arms that you can have on your shield and stuff. It sounds awesome to me. Now, so you'll have that done. You'll have your coat of arms done. Now, whatever else do they have on here? They have your jousting score down here, your joust score. It's just really a place to keep up with like your wins or losses in your joust. It doesn't really affect the game too much, they tell us, unless you're just maybe really lucky or really good at jousting or really unfortunate at jousting. Then it might earn you a title or something of that nature, but just a place to keep your jousting score there. Now your horses right here, you're going to start off with 4 horses in the beginning. You're going to have 1 charger, which is your war horse. You're going to have 2 rounceys, which one is going to be for you and one is going to be for your squire. It kind of sounds like most of the time your war horse stays at home, like fresh. Basically, you don't kind of wear them out because you never know when you're going to need them. So most of the time you're going to be riding your rounceys with your squire. And then you have 1 sumpter, which is kind of like your pack horse for carrying your equipment and whatnot. So you'll have your war horse, your 2 rounceys for getting around, you and your squire, and your sumpter for kind of packing all your gear and stuff. So that's how that's going to work. Now your squire, this section right here, once you're knighted, a squire will be given to you by the GM. And there's a whole section about squires and how they will play. I'm not going to be getting into those tonight, but just know that they kind of do help you out with equipment and things like that. You know, make sure your armor's polished and ready to go at all times, right? So that's where your squire stuff will go. Now your equipment carried section right here, you're going to start off with just some standard equipment. You get some chainmail and a shield. You get a couple spears, a sword, a dagger, some fine clothing. You get personal gear, like travel gear, some war gear, and then of course your 4 horses. And so you'll kind of put that stuff down here as well. So that's pretty much, I think that pretty much covers everything on this first page. Everything on your first page now should be completely filled out. So there you go. So let's go on to the second page of the character sheet. So the character's history is where, it's kind of where, let me, so somewhere you can see it. The character's history section right here, this is where you're just going to kind of note down the most important adventures and just, just things that have happened, with you, just kind of making notes on your character so we can get a history of what's going on. Trust me, you'll look back on these in 5 years after you've played your character or 20 years and you'll go, oh my gosh, I remember this. What happened? And you'll find these notes right here to be the most precious thing on the planet if you take the time to just jot down a few words, just a few words like, hey, I fought so-and-so and I took his horse or whatever. Like you will remember. It's going to flood back so many memories. Just do that. Trust me. Family history and events down here at the bottom. And this is kind of self-explanatory, where you're born, the date that you're squired, the date that you're knighted, those type of things. If you become a member of the round table, the date that happened, you'll put that in there. There is a place in the book for your family characteristics. So you do get a little bit of bonuses with this. You roll a d20 for this to pick out your family characteristic. Like you could be light-footed, which would give you +10 to dancing. You could be a natural speaker, which would give you +10 to orate. You have a love for arms, which would give you a +10 to heraldry. And you would just note that down there, right there. So kind of nice. I love charts, you guys. I love the randomized charts where you can just, you're like, I don't know. I don't want to pick. I don't know which one's right or not. Well, just let the dice decide. You roll it on there. There you go. Let me go back to here. All right. So that's the chart as far as your family characteristic part. You'll fill that in right there. Your holdings. Let me scroll back up. Your holdings. This is like your current home, your manor, right? So whatever manor that you rolled on earlier, if it was Newton or whatever, you put that down. And as you get more lands and manors, you're going to add those here. So that's kind of that part. Equipment at home. This is going to be any kind of extra money or weapons, horses or mounts, something like that you've gained as you go and you kind of choose to store at your manor. You'll have all that listed down here. Your army down here at the bottom. This is where it's broken up. These kind of like the number of knights and things that you can call on in a time of crisis. Okay. So like everything's going bad. I need everybody now. So the number of knights are kind of broken down into 3 categories that are either old, middle-aged, or young. And you kind of roll there's like a little chart down here that you roll like 1d6 on how many middle-aged men you'll have. You roll 2d6 to see how many old knights that you have and so on. And you kind of go through those. Now, vassal knights are going to start off. So like you can see, you'll fill in your old knights there, your middle-aged knights there, your young knights there, according to that chart that you roll on. And that's going to give you your total family knights right there. Your vassal knights is going to be 0 because you're not a lord, and so you're not ruling over any other knights. So that's going to be 0 right now. Other lineage men, these are family that aren't knights, basically. And so what you're going to do here is you're going to roll 2d6, then you're going to add 5 to that, and that's going to be your lineage men there. Then you have finally your levy down here. All right, and so they say that there's like 420 people on average that work for you at your manor, but only about 100 of those are considered able-bodied. Okay, and your levy is basically every able-bodied man of your holding. Okay, and so to get this number, they tell us you're going to roll 5 d20 dice, add those together, and that's going to be your number of able-bodied men that you could call. Now, again, remember, these are not knights, and they're not going to be, these lineage men and levy are not going to be very well equipped for fighting, but they could come to your rescue. They could help you out in certain ways if you need them. And really, that's about it, you guys. Your character sheet should be pretty much ready to go, pretty much all the way filled out. It's not that hard if you just kind of read and kind of go step by step. Looking at the character sheet, like I said, does help. They do have a section in the book here. I'm going to show you about some pre-constructed characters that they kind of have pre-filled out for you. That's kind of like if you need them for whatever reason. Let's say your brother just walked in and you're in the middle of a game and you need to get a character so he can play. He came in from out of town or something. Then you can have one of these pre-made characters ready to go. You're probably going to have, if you listened, you're going to have 2 characters anyway. Just hand your brother one and create another one later. That's what you're going to do. Don't use these prefabricated stuff, dude. Just make your own. Just make yourself. Now, they do have some stuff. The rest of the chapters kind of goes on into playing women in Pendragon, and I'm not going to get into that tonight as I think this video is long enough. But just know that even though women knights were very uncommon, they were not unheard of, and they have everything that you need to know about creating a woman knight in this chapter as well. So that is about it for the character creation in Pendragon. Some really cool stuff. So next time, let's flip back over here. What is the next chapter about? Next time I'm going to be going over the 3rd chapter, and this is family and fatherland. And I think it's all about like your lineage, your family history, and how that impacts your character. I saw a lot of charts and randomized charts and stuff like that you get to roll on and get some history. It looks pretty cool. I just flip forward for just a minute. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. I just want to ask again that if you like this type of content, go ahead and like the video and don't forget to subscribe. It is free. If you would like to support the stream, I do have a Patreon that's listed down below, or like I said earlier, you can buy me a cup of coffee. That link is in the description as well. It's just a one-time thing. There's no sign up, no recurring charges, anything like that. You just buy me a cup of coffee and it supports the channel. Simple as that. Every little bit does help you guys. That's it for me tonight. I will see you all in the next one where we will be going over the family and the fatherland in the Pendragon RPG. I will see you next time. Bye.